I watched through my kitchen window as my husband Marcus helped a young woman carry designer suitcases into my house. Into the home I had paid for. Into the space where I had raised our children. And he had no idea that every move he made was destroying him. Piece by piece. Before we continue, please subscribe to my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Now, let's return to my story. My name is Diana Morrison, and I'm 58 years old. For 32 years I've been married to Marcus Morrison, a man I met when we were both struggling college students in Atlanta. Back then, we had nothing but dreams and each other, or so I thought. What Marcus never knew, what nobody knew, was that 6 months ago, I received a call that changed everything. Mrs. Morrison, this is Detective Sarah Chen, from the Atlanta Police Department. We need to talk about your husband's activities. My heart had dropped into my stomach. Is he okay? Was there an accident? No, ma'am, but we've been investigating a fraud case, and your husband's name came up in connection with a woman named Amber Collins. We believe he may be a victim of identity theft or financial manipulation. Can you come down to the station? That conversation led me down a rabbit hole I never imagined existed. Amber Collins wasn't just stealing from random victims. She was specifically targeting married men, seducing them, and systematically draining their assets. She had done this to 4 men before Marcus. 2 of those men had committed suicide when they lost everything. 1 was in prison for crimes she had framed him for. The 4th had disappeared entirely, and now she had her claws in my husband. But here's what neither Marcus nor Amber knew. I wasn't the struggling middle-class wife they thought I was. I wasn't the woman who worked part-time at the local library to help with bills. I wasn't the simple housewife who clipped coupons and shopped at thrift stores. I was Diana Morrison Chen, sole heir to the Chen technology fortune. My father had built a software empire worth $800 million before he passed away 10 years ago. I had inherited everything, but I'd kept it secret from everyone except my attorney and financial advisors. Why? Because I'd watched my father's wealth destroy relationships, corrupt family members, and turn genuine love into calculated manipulation. When I married Marcus, I wanted to know he loved me for me, not for money. So I'd hidden my inheritance, lived modestly, and created a life where love, not wealth, was supposed to be the foundation. For 30 years I thought I had succeeded. I thought Marcus loved me for who I was. I thought our modest life together was genuine. I was wrong. The suitcases Amber carried into my house weren't the first sign. It started 3 months earlier when Marcus began working late. Then came the expensive cologne I'd never bought him. The new gym membership. The sudden interest in his appearance. Classic signs, but I told myself I was being paranoid. Until Detective Chen called. The detective explained that Amber's pattern was always the same. She would seduce married men, convince them their wives didn't understand them, and slowly manipulate them into giving her access to their finances. Once she had control, she would drain every account, max out every credit card, and disappear. But not before destroying the man's life completely. Sometimes literally. Mrs. Morrison, Detective Chen had said, looking at me with sad eyes. We've been tracking Amber for 2 years. She's dangerous, methodical, and she's very good at what she does. We believe your husband has already given her access to your joint accounts. We're telling you this because her previous victims, they didn't end well. We need your help to catch her, but we also need to protect you. That's when I made my decision. I wouldn't just protect myself. I would protect Marcus too, even though he was betraying me, and I would make sure Amber Collins finally faced justice for all the lives she'd destroyed. But first, I had to let her think she was winning. Marcus, I said that evening when he came home, smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. Can we talk? He looked nervous, guilty. Sure, honey. What's up? I know you've been seeing someone. His face went pale. Diana, I held up my hand. I'm not angry. I'm tired, Marcus. Tired of struggling. Tired of this small house and small life. Maybe we've just grown apart. Relief flooded his face. Not sadness. Not remorse. Relief. That's when I knew for certain that I'd already lost him. I think, I continued carefully. Maybe we should separate for a while. You can stay here, I'll move in with my sister in Florida for a few months. We can figure out what we want. Diana, you don't have to leave. Maybe I should. No, I interrupted. I need space. I need time to think. And honestly, Marcus, if there's someone else who makes you happy, maybe that's what you need too. I watched the calculation in his eyes. He was trying to figure out if this was a trap. But his desire to be with Amber won out over his caution. If that's what you think is best, he said slowly. 3 days later, I packed a single suitcase and left. I hugged my husband goodbye, watched him relax with relief, and drove away from the home we'd shared for 3 decades. But I didn't go to Florida. I went exactly 4 blocks away to a luxury apartment I'd purchased under my maiden name. An apartment with a perfect view of my old house. An apartment equipped with the surveillance system I'd had installed throughout my house 2 weeks earlier, because I wanted to watch. I wanted to see exactly what Amber and Marcus would do when they thought I was gone. It took less than 6 hours. I sat in my new apartment, watching the multiple screens, showing every room of my house, and I saw Marcus make a phone call. She's gone. Yeah, for a few months at least. You can move in tomorrow if you want. Move in. He was moving his mistress into my house while I was supposedly crying at my sister's place in Florida. The next morning, I watched Amber Collins enter my home for the first time. She was 28 years old. Beautiful in that artificial way that comes from expensive cosmetic procedures. Long blonde hair, perfect makeup, designer clothes that Marcus's salary could never afford. She walked through my house like she owned it, touching my things, sitting on my furniture, laughing at the photos of Marcus and me on the walls. This is all going to go, she told Marcus, gesturing at the family photos. Once we sell this dump and upgrade to something worthy of us, sell my house. The house I had purchased with cash from my inheritance. The house that was in my name only, though Marcus didn't know that because I'd let him believe it was jointly owned. Oh, Amber, you have no idea what you've walked into. Over the next week, I watched them live in my house. I watched Amber slowly take over every space. I watched Marcus transform into someone I didn't recognize. Doting on her, buying her expensive gifts with credit cards I knew he couldn't afford, making promises about their future together, and I watched Amber work her magic. She was good. I had to give her that. She never directly asked for money. Instead, she would mention bills she couldn't pay, investments that seemed promising, emergencies that required immediate cash. Marcus would scramble to give her whatever she needed. I watched him drain our joint checking account, watched him max out our joint credit cards, watched him take out a personal loan using our house as collateral, or trying to until the bank informed him that his name wasn't on the deed. That's when things got interesting. What do you mean my name isn't on the deed? Marcus shouted into his phone. I could hear every word through the surveillance system. I've lived here for 30 years. This is my house. Sir, according to our records, the property at 47A2 Maple Drive is solely owned by Diana Chen Morrison. There is no joint ownership. I watched Marcus's face turn red as the realization hit him. He'd never actually looked at the deed. He'd just assumed. Amber watched him too, her expression shifting from concern to calculation. Baby, it's okay, she said soothingly. We'll figure this out. Maybe Diana would be willing to sell and split the proceeds with you in the divorce. Divorce. She was already planning our divorce. Or Amber continued carefully. Maybe there's a way to get her to sign the house over to you before the divorce. If she's living with her sister, maybe she doesn't even want it anymore. You could tell her you'll handle selling it, get her to sign some papers. I watched Marcus consider this. Watched him actually consider committing fraud against his wife of 32 years. I don't know, he said slowly. Diana's not stupid. She'd want to do the paperwork. Not if she trusts you, Amber purred. You could tell her it's just temporary, just to make the sale easier. Once she signs, the house is yours. Then we sell it, take the money, and start our new life. That's when I knew I had her. This conversation, along with everything else I'd recorded, was exactly what Detective Chen needed. But I wasn't ready to spring the trap yet, because I wanted Amber to commit fully. I wanted her to dig herself so deep that there would be no escape, so I called Marcus. Hi, I said, making my voice sound tired and sad. How are you? Diana? Hey. I'm okay. How's Florida? Lonely, I admitted. I've been thinking about everything. About us. Yeah, me too. Marcus. I think I want to come home. I think we should try to work this out. I've been hasty. You're my husband. We've been together for 32 years. That has to mean something. Silence on the other end. Then, Diana, I don't think that's a good idea right now. I think we both need more time. I let my voice break. I see. Is there someone else? More silence. Diana, let's not do this over the phone. Just tell me the truth, Marcus. After 32 years, I deserve the truth. There is someone, he finally admitted. I didn't mean for it to happen. But yeah, there's someone else. Are you in love with her? I think I am. Perfect. I had him admitting to the affair on a recorded line. Then I guess we should talk about divorce. I said quietly. Yeah. I think we should. The house, Marcus. You've lived there so long. You should have it. I don't want to fight over it. Just draw up whatever papers you need. And I'll sign them. I just want this to be over quickly and quietly. I could practically hear his excitement. Really? You'd do that? I just want to move on, Marcus. We both deserve to be happy. Even if it's not with each other. Diana, that's very generous of you. Generous. He thought I was being generous while he plotted to steal my house. Just have your lawyer send me the papers. I'll sign whatever you need. After I hung up, I watched Marcus through the surveillance feed. He was practically dancing with joy as he told Amber the news. She's going to sign over the house. He exclaimed. She said she doesn't want to fight. It's ours. Amber, do you know what this place is worth? At least $600,000. We can sell it. Take the money and go wherever we want. Amber kissed him deeply. I knew she was weak. Women like her always give up without a fight. This is perfect, baby. Absolutely perfect. Women like her, we give up without a fight. Oh, Amber. You have no idea who you're dealing with. The papers arrived 3 days later. They were fraudulent, of course. Marcus had hired a shady lawyer to draw up documents that would transfer the deed to his name. Disguised as simple divorce settlement paper. I called Detective Chen. I have everything you need, I told her. Recorded conversations of them planning fraud. Evidence of financial manipulation. Documentation of the pattern. And tomorrow, when Marcus brings me the papers to sign, I'll have him on camera attempting to execute the fraud. Mrs. Morrison. Detective Chen said, respect in her voice. You've done more work than most of my detectives. We'll be ready. The next day, I came home. For the first time in 3 weeks, I walked into my own house. The house I'd purchased with my inheritance. The house Marcus and Amber thought they were about to steal from me. Amber was there. Marcus had apparently thought it would be fine to have his mistress present. When his wife came to sign divorce papers. Diana, Marcus said awkwardly. This is Amber. Amber, this is my wife Diana. Ex-wife soon. Amber said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I've heard so much about you. I'm sure you have. I replied calmly. I looked around my house. Amber had redecorated. My family photos were gone. Replaced with modern. My comfortable furniture had been moved out. Replaced with expensive pieces I knew Marcus couldn't afford. You've made some changes, I observed. Just trying to help Marcus update the place. Amber said sweetly. It was a bit dated. Dated. She'd called 32 years of my life dated. Shall we get to the paperwork? Marcus said nervously. He pulled out a folder of documents. It's pretty straightforward. Just sign where indicated, and we can all move forward. I took the papers and began to read. Marcus and Amber exchanged glances. They thought I was just going through the motions. That I would sign without really understanding what I was signing. This says I'm transferring full ownership of the property to you. I said slowly. Right. As part of the settlement. You said you didn't want the house. I said I didn't want to fight over it. That's not the same thing as giving it to you. Marcus's face tightened. Diana, we agreed. We agreed to divorce. We did not agree that I would simply hand over a $600,000 property to you. Amber stood up, her mask slipping. Listen, lady, you've been living in this house for free for years. Marcus has been paying the mortgage, the bills, everything. You owe him. Free, I repeated. Paying the mortgage? I turned to Marcus. Did you tell her you've been paying the mortgage? He shifted uncomfortably. I've been contributing. Marcus, this house was paid for in cash 32 years ago. There is no mortgage. There never has been. The color drained from his face. And the bills? I continued. The property taxes, the maintenance, that's all been paid from an account you don't have access to. An account in my name only. What are you talking about? Amber demanded. Marcus, what is she talking about? I think it's time you both knew the truth, I said calmly. I pulled out my phone and opened a banking app. This is my personal account. The one I've had since before Marcus and I were married. The one funded by my inheritance from my father Daniel Chen. I turned the screen toward them. The balance showed $847 million. Amber's eyes nearly popped out of her head. Marcus stumbled backward and sat down heavily on the couch. That's not possible, Marcus whispered. Your father was a teacher. I said my father worked in education technology. Which was true. He founded Chen Educational Software he sold it to Microsoft in 2010 for $900 million. When he died 4 years later, I inherited everything. But you work at a library, Marcus said, his voice cracking. You drive a 10-year-old car. We live in this modest house. You've been clipping coupons for 30 years, because I wanted to know if you loved me for me. I said simply. I wanted a marriage based on genuine affection, not on financial convenience. I wanted to build a life together where we were partners, not where one person was using the other for money. I looked at Amber, whose face had gone from shock to fury. And you, I continued. You thought you'd found another easy mark. A middle-class man with a simple wife and a decent house to steal. You were already planning how to drain his accounts, max out his credit, and disappear with whatever you could take. I don't know what you're talking about, Amber said coldly. Don't you? I pulled out another phone, the one connected to my security system. I've been recording everything that's happened in this house for the past 3 weeks. Every conversation, every plan you two made to defraud me. Every moment. Once we sell this dump and upgrade to something worthy of us, maybe there's a way to get her to sign the house over to you before the divorce. Women like her always give up without a fight. Amber's face went white. Marcus looked like he might be sick. I've also been working with Detective Sarah Chen from the Atlanta Police Department, I continued. She's been investigating you, Amber, for quite some time. She's very interested in your pattern of targeting married men, manipulating them, destroying their lives, and stealing everything they have. As if on cue, there was a knock on my door. That would be her now, I said. I opened the door to find Detective Chen with 4 uniformed officers. Mrs. Morrison, she said formally. Thank you for your cooperation in this investigation. She turned to Amber. Amber Collins, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit fraud, and in connection with the deaths of William Patterson and James Rodriguez. As the officers handcuffed Amber, she screamed at me, "You crazy bitch, you set me up, this is entrapment." No, Detective Chen said calmly. Entrapment is when law enforcement induces someone to commit a crime they wouldn't otherwise commit. You've been committing these crimes for years. Mrs. Morrison simply gave you the rope to hang yourself. They led Amber out of my house in handcuffs. She was still screaming threats, promises of lawsuits, claims that she'd been framed. Marcus just sat on the couch, his head in his hands. After they left, it was just the two of us in the silence of our home. Diana, he finally said. I don't even know what to say. How about the truth, Marcus? When did you stop loving me? He looked up, tears in his eyes. I never stopped loving you. But Amber, she made me feel young again, special, desired. You were always so capable, so independent. I felt like you didn't need me. So you betrayed me. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. But Diana, if I had known about the money, if you'd known about the money, what? You would have stayed faithful? You would have loved me more. He didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. That's exactly why I never told you, I said quietly. Because I wanted you to love me for me, not for what I could give you. And in the end, I got my answer. Diana, please, I know I don't deserve it, but please, can we try to fix this? I'll do anything. I looked at the man I'd loved for 32 years, the man I'd hidden my wealth from to protect our relationship. The man who had betrayed me the moment someone younger and shinier came along. Marcus, you didn't just cheat on me. You were willing to commit fraud to steal from me. You were willing to forge documents, lie to me, and take everything I had, not because you needed it, but because Amber wanted it. I was manipulated. You were willing, I corrected. Amber may have planted the idea, but you watered it and let it grow. You made the choice. I pulled out a real divorce agreement, one prepared by my actual lawyers. This is a legitimate divorce settlement. You get nothing. No house, no assets, nothing from my accounts. What you do get is your freedom, and my promise not to press charges against you for attempted fraud. His hands shook as he took the papers. You have until tomorrow morning to move out, I continued. After that, the locks will be changed and you'll be considered trespassing. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know, Marcus, and for the first time in 32 years, it's not my problem to solve. He left that night. I watched him pack a single suitcase and walk out the door of the house we'd shared for 3 decades. I didn't cry. I'd done all my crying in the weeks before, when I'd first learned of his betrayal. Now I just felt empty. And oddly free. The trial for Amber Collins was a media sensation. The beautiful con artist, who had destroyed multiple lives, the desperate men she'd manipulated, and the secret millionaire wife who had outsmarted her. I testified about everything I'd witnessed and recorded. The jury heard the conversations about fraud. They heard Amber's cold calculations about weak women, who give up without a fight. They saw the evidence of her previous victims, 2 of whom had taken their own lives after she destroyed them. She was convicted on 12 counts, including fraud, conspiracy, identity theft, and criminally negligent homicide, for the 2 men who had committed suicide. She was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Marcus testified too. He admitted to his role in the attempted fraud. But because I declined to press charges and because he had cooperated with the investigation, he received 5 years probation instead of prison time. The last time I saw him was in the courthouse hallway after the sentencing. Diana, he said quietly, I just want you to know, I really did love you. I know you don't believe that now, but it's true. I believe you loved the version of me you thought I was, I replied. The simple librarian who needed you. But you never really knew me at all, Marcus. Because if you had, you would have known that I never needed your money, or your protection. I just needed your faithfulness, and that was the one thing you couldn't give me. He nodded, tears streaming down his face, and walked away. I stood there in that courthouse hallway, watching my husband of 32 years disappear from my life forever. And I realized something profound. I had spent 3 decades hiding who I really was to protect my marriage. I had made myself smaller, quieter, less successful to make Marcus feel important. I had pretended to struggle financially so he could feel like a provider. And in the end, he had still betrayed me. Not because I wasn't enough, but because he had never bothered to find out who I really was. 5 years have passed since that day. I'm 63 now, and my life is unrecognizable from what it was. I no longer work part-time at the library. Instead, I run the Chen Foundation, a non-profit I established to help victims of financial fraud and domestic manipulation. We provide legal assistance, financial counseling, and support groups for people who have been exploited by romantic partners or family members. We've helped hundreds of people in these 5 years. Men and women who thought they had no options, who believed they deserved the abuse, who didn't know how to fight back. Detective Chen works with us now as our director of investigation. Together, we've identified and helped prosecute 17 con artists who were running the same schemes Amber had perfected. Amber herself is still in prison. She'll be eligible for parole in 30 years, when she's 58 years old. I'll be 80. Somehow, I doubt I'll be at that hearing. Marcus struggled for the first few years. Without me to quietly subsidize his life, he discovered what it was like to truly live paycheck to paycheck. He lost weight, lost hair, lost the confident swagger that Amber had been so attracted to. But then something interesting happened. He started volunteering at the foundation. Not because I asked him to. I had made it clear I wanted no contact. But because he later told me, he needed to do something to atone for what he'd done. He leads a men's support group now. Men who have been manipulated by partners, who have made terrible mistakes in their marriages, who are trying to rebuild their lives and become better people. Last month he asked if we could meet for coffee. I almost said no, but curiosity got the better of me. We met at a small cafe downtown. He looked older. We both did. But there was something different about him. Something humbler, quieter, more genuine. I wanted to thank you, he said. For what? For not destroying me completely when you had every right to. For giving me a chance to become someone better than I was. I stirred my coffee, considering his words. I didn't do it for you, Marcus. I did it because destroying you wouldn't have healed me. It would have just made me someone I didn't want to be. I know, but still, thank you. He paused. I also wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not just say the words. I understand now what I did to you. How I made you hide yourself for 30 years. How I never bothered to really see you. It took me a long time to forgive you, I said honestly. I'm not sure I'm completely there yet, but I'm working on it. That's more than I deserve. Proud of what you've built. Proud of how you've helped so many people. You were always extraordinary. I was just too blind to see it. I don't know if Marcus and I will ever be friends. Too much has happened. Too much has been broken. But I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means choosing not to let someone else's mistakes define your future. As I write this, I'm sitting on my back porch, the same porch where Marcus and I used to drink morning coffee together. But now it's just me, my coffee and the peace that comes from finally being fully authentically myself. I don't hide my wealth anymore. I don't pretend to be less than I am. I've learned that the right people will love you for who you truly are, wealth and all, while the wrong people will betray you regardless of what you do to earn their loyalty. My story isn't a happy ending in the traditional sense. I didn't get my marriage back. I didn't ride off into the sunset with true love, but I got something better. I got myself back, and sometimes that's the greatest victory of all. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Please share your thoughts in the comments. The end.